We're seeing fallout from the Capital One and Walmart breakup, there's a bunch of good Amazon Prime Day deals, and Delta might be changing business class as we know it. This and more in today's roundup. Big favor is to hit the like button to help with the algorithm. If you're new, consider subscribing. Starting with Capital One, we have the final chapter of the Walmart story. Probably one of the weirder outcomes. So back in 2019, Capital One partnered with Walmart for a new card, and they were trying to reimagine the retail credit card space. The card by itself wasn't bad, it was no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and also 5% back for Walmart.com. The other multipliers weren't really that impactful though. Fast forward to 2023 and Walmart sued Capital One. Their argument was that Capital One didn't fulfill their contractual obligations. The three key points being transactional posting, so Capital One was too slow to post transactions, replacement of cards, Capital One took too long for this, and also customer service, where they just didn't hit their standards. And it does make sense that if your customers are getting angry at you due to your partner's behavior, then you might need to fire the partner. Ironically too, it didn't feel like a Capital One issue because a lot of their cards are fine. If you have the Venture or Venture X, you're not complaining about these issues. Especially with stuff like customer service, it begs the question of whether Capital One prioritized their own cards over Walmart's. About a month and a half back in mid-2024, they settled and announced that they were ending their partnership. Just now, they sent letters to cardholders, and we know what's happening with their cards. In September, the Walmart cards are going to be converted to Quicksilver ones. For some people, it's going to add to their collection of cards, so McMaddie will now have 4. Even though Capital One has a 2 credit card rule, it doesn't apply for their business cards and also co-branded ones, and that's probably the case here. No annual fee, so it doesn't hurt you, so you might as well keep it. Probably to a small charge for a coffee or an Amazon reload every 12 months, but otherwise you're fine. It pretty much just becomes a part of your foundation of cards, and a lot of people don't seem to realize that you might have 50 cards, but you only actively use maybe 5 of them. Walmart's considering Synchrony, Barclays, and Costo for their new card, with Synchrony probably being in the lead for contention. This is the part that's funny. Walmart actually sued Synchrony back in 2018 in order to break off that relationship in order to get with Capital One. So Walmart signed with and then subsequently sued and dumped Synchrony, and then did exactly the same thing to Capital One, and might go back to Synchrony to do the same thing again. Walmart and Amazon are 2 of the biggest retailers, and it's interesting how their credit card relationships have been dramatically different. Walmart feels a bit chaotic neutral, while Amazon has been of chase for more than 2 decades. Speaking of Amazon, it's Prime Day right now, and there's a bunch of good deals. Taking a look at a few products that either I have or I just bought, we have Apple AirPod Pros Gen 2. These are down from $249 to $168. Probably my favorite option if I'm running around the airport and it's just super convenient. You can put them into your pocket and you're good to go. For in-flight, Mandy really likes the Bose Quiet Comforts, which are down from $349 to $229. If you do have a bigger head like me and bigger ears, then be careful of this one because it can clamp down on your ears, and over time, over a few hours, it might hurt a little bit. My favorites are the Sony XM4s, where my ears fit inside. My go-to option for flights, or if I'm doing chores at home and want to put something on while cleaning up. I can't really show you, but my ear fully fits inside rather than being on top of. Imagine this is your ear, it pretty much fully perfectly goes in and isn't causing too much pressure. But yeah, both are great options and perfect for flights. This one is a little bit heavier though, so it just depends on you. If you want to connect your headphones to in-flight entertainment, then I get a wireless audio transmitter. The AirFly Pro is down to $43.99 from $54.99. Over on the Delta subreddit, this is generally considered the best option and worth the extra cash. Lots of other reviews on Amazon seem pretty solid as well, and they have a pretty good fake spot score, so it should be a bunch of real reviews rather than fake ones. I was looking to buy these anyways, so this is a perfect excuse. And in fact, I just ordered 2 of these for the next trip, and I'll let you know how they do. If you have a bunch of cards, you might have some targeted offers. Well worth the 30 seconds. For example, Citi's offering $15 off if your purchase is more than $15 and you add one of their cards. Promo code is 24CityPD. Same thing with Amex, but with a different promo code. Some people who were not targeted got targeted by removing their cards, so if you're doing this while watching Netflix, then it might be an easy thing. But yeah, lots of options for pretty much every issuer, and I'll link them down below. For American Express, they have another one that's a bit interesting. You get 40% off with a max discount of $40, and that's when you use 1,428 MR points. So in this case, the ideal purchase is 100 or more in order to get the max of $40. There is an opportunity cost, but the math still works out. When you redeem Amex points at Amazon, you're redeeming them at 0.7 cents per point. That means that 1,428 MR points is $10. At the same time, MR points could be worth a lot more if you use them differently. For example, if you booked travel through Amex, that's $14.28. If you cashed out through Schwab, $15.78. And if you transfer to partners, the target would probably be around $28.56 at 2 cents per point. On the top end, you're losing out on $18.56, but you're also getting $40 back, so it works out. If you're spending $100 to get to 40%, then you're still winning. But yeah, I feel like Amazon promotions are a pretty good reason to have a card from pretty much every issuer. I'm also expecting to keep seeing this in future years as partnerships become more valuable and the go-to method for a lot of card partners to add value. On a side note, if you want to learn about cards from pretty much any issuers and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, asksabby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that the cards make sense for you, but otherwise, it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Moving on, Delta has a pretty interesting plan. They're planning to unbundle business class. You know how there's economy and then basic economy? They pretty much want to do the same thing. And they're doing the full announcement later this fall during their investor day. Other airlines like Emirates, Qatar, and Finnair have similar programs that they launched back in 2020 and 2021. For example, it can affect your ability to pick seats, access lounges unless you have it from elite status, chauffeur service, you get fewer miles, heftier change fees, and no ability to cancel. Let's say they bring this to Delta. A lot of us already have lounge access with credit cards. In theory, there should be emptier lounges because there was less people. Same thing with checked luggage, where most of us probably have cards that offer that feature anyways. If anything, this might mean that we could pay less for flights and maybe even an affordable range, and then just use our cards for the benefits. And we kind of already are starting to see this with upgrades. So for example, here is someone that was offered an upgrade from economy to Delta One Suites for $299 per person. Earlier that week, it was $3,900, so $300 is pretty nice. In fact, there's a lot of people in the comments who would have been happy paying $1K. Reminder that this is before considering the cost of the economy ticket that they already paid. Maybe wishful thinking, but maybe we end up seeing cheaper points and miles pricing. Delta is notorious for charging an arm and a leg for their business class unless you know where to look. There is still ways to get value from Delta Sky Miles, but you have to be flying from non-US to non-US. You pretty much cannot be flying into or out of the US. For example, here is a fare from Tokyo to Paris in Delta One for 80,000 points and 4,000 yen, which is about 25 bucks. 80,000 points is pretty amazing, especially for a 15-hour flight. If on the other hand, you were looking for New York to Paris, which is only a 7.5-hour flight, that's 270,000 points. So more than 3 times as many points and for a shorter flight, which doesn't make sense to me. From JFK or Atlanta to Tokyo, it's going to be 410,000 points. More than 5 times of Tokyo to Paris. So hopefully basic business means that we see better pricing from or to the US. But knowing Delta, probably not, so maybe just a good way to pay cash. The last one is a bit of a fun one, but wanted to get your thoughts and also chime in. So let's say you're on a plane, it lands, and the light turns off. Do you immediately get up or do you stay in your seat? That's pretty much the question that Gary from View from the Wing started, and a lot of people answered. So for example, Lucky from 1 Mile at a Time chimed in as well. Kinda curious what you think as well, so let me know down below. Gary's view is that you should be ready to plane, and getting things out of the overhead bin speeds up the entire process. So basically by getting up, you can get your stuff and everyone else gets out faster. Number 2, it's polite for the middle seat who's been stuck in place for hours. Number 3, it's a good way to stretch and stand. Ben's take is that you should get up when you're a few rows away from deplaning and not earlier. So pretty much maybe 3 or 4 rows are going to be standing up getting stuff while everyone else stays down. Also, the passengers should be allowed to deplane row by row, and even if you get up, you should not be running past other people outside of emergencies. For me, I know if I'm in the window seat, I'm stuck anyways, so not in too much of a rush. If I'm in the middle though, then it's amazing if the person next to me ends up getting up because I have a lot more room to spread out, even if they're just half standing in the aisle. Whether I'm doing a short trip or long trip, I usually have a big backpack with me with camera gear, gimbal, laptop, mic, and a bunch of other stuff. If I'm outside, I'm going to try to grab that right away and then put it back on my seat. Or if I'm out in the aisle and there's no one else, I'll put it between my legs, pretty much bus or subway etiquette. That way you don't have a big backpack hitting people. Also, maybe it's because I'm oftentimes getting Mandy stuff as well, so potentially 2 backpacks and 2 carry-ons. I'm very cautious about blocking people and slowing people down. If anything, I think my bigger pet peeve is rather than standing, if you're on the outside, not getting your stuff, and not being ready to go. I think it can save a lot of time to get your stuff and then move out of the aisle, maybe put it back on your seat, but it speeds the whole flow up. That way, when it's our turn for our row, one of the 3 people are already ready to go, and only 2 people have to get stuff. Probably making enemies of this one, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, asksebby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a package emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, do you think Walmart is going back to Synchrony, or where do you think they're going next? Number 2, are you buying anything during Prime Day? And number 3, are you someone that likes getting up, or you stay seated? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, consider subscribing, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.